big hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity with me, Sonali Krishna. The brutal second wave that has hit the country and its resultant lockdowns has led to sectors across the board being rendered helpless, much like the citizens of this country. And real estate is no exception. The impact on real estate is just not limited to low sales, but has also changed the dynamics of the game. With remote working now a reality for over a year, what do the stars foretell for the real estate industry? Joining us today is a very special guest, the co-founder and managing director of one of the country's leading realty firms. It's none other than Niranjan Hiranandani of the Hiranandani Group to discuss the current health of the real estate sector in India and, of course, how the sector is battling the second wave of COVID-19 that is wreaking havoc in the country. Thank you so much, Mr. Hiranandani, for joining us right here on Brand Equity and ET Now. Thank you so much. First up, I have to ask you if you and yours are all safe and sound, and if you're keeping well during these really dark times.
Well, I've already gone through COVID, so I've come out of it. Some of the relations are obviously still in hospital and other people, and there's bad news all around in terms of it. But yes, at this present point of time, it's okay, but not as one would love it, because it's tough for seeing so many people in the hospital. We run a hospital, so it's kind of bad news because I'm refusing 5 out of 7 people who want a bed. So, it's a very tough times to come when you have to say no for something like that.
It is odd that, when people are suffering across the country and we're seeing people dying, and it's no more just the news, it's hit home very hard for most of us. It's odd to talk about industry, but I think it's also important to look at business impact, and which is why I could have had no better guest than you to talk about, how the real estate industry is coping under this pressure. Now, given the fact that we have no sense of when this road to recovery is going to happen in 2021, if matters are going to get worse or for how long will they remain status quo, is all up in the air. What is your sense of how the real estate industry will do going forward?
Sonali, it's a horrible story, but the fact that almost 1 million workers, migrant workers, walked back last year when there was a lockdown was a serious problem for India, because many of them didn't eat food, died on the way, and suffered. So that was the state of the real estate industry last year. And 4 or 5 months was really horrible because we had no workers, we had no sales, there was no communication with the workmen, and a lot of people were without jobs. This was across the board in real estate, that was across the board in infrastructure. Then came the next phase when things improved in August, September of last year. And post that, a lot of change happened. One of the changes was that Maharashtra government reduced the stamp duty. The GST became 0 for finished goods. And a sudden change took place, especially in the western region of Maharashtra. And things suddenly looked much brighter. So from September to March, or maybe, up to end of March, it was a good innings for the real estate sales. And that partially made up for the lockdown, which took place in the earlier years. And of course, we had a bad time before that with demonetization, RERA, and other factors which came into place. So the real estate industry was suffering. Differences which have happened, which are positive, 2 which are negative. The first 2 which are positive is that the government has agreed that those construction workers who are on the site itself can continue to work, which was not so in the earlier time. So that was a major difference. So now you don't see as many migrant workers returning to their gaon in order to go it, except for a few who will at this point of time go for agricultural operations, which they do go for. So some of them did go and will go, but not from the construction and real estate side. So to that extent, the construction work is going.
I'm happy you're saying that the migrant workers this time, there is no exodus you're seeing, but reports suggest contrary, that there has been an exodus of migrant workers starting in Bombay and of course now even in Delhi. Is that actually not true?
It is true, Sonali, but it's 5% of what it was last time.
Okay.
So yes, if you're seeing in the rush at the stations, they do, but they're not from the construction and that side. They may be from the retail side, they may be from the other segments of society, and the numbers comparative to what happened last year is much, much less. So factories also have been allowed to continue to work, except in containment zone. So those are also continuing to work. That was also an issue last year when the first lockdown was brought about. So I do see a little recognition of reality and things have improved in those terms. So yes, you will see migrant workers, but not the numbers which you saw last year, definitely.
The valuation of the Mumbai real estate space has always been, for discussion for like time immemorial. And this whole, that the fact that there is going to be a bust has also been, in the rumor mills for, I think, over a decade and more maybe, but it's never really happened. Do you foresee the real estate valuations in Mumbai, coming down? Do you think there's going to be a correction of sorts, or will it maintain its own?
To be in real terms, the prices have come down. 5 years of inflation and the prices have not gone up. That itself means a correction of nearly 20% has taken place in real terms. So if you would have looked at normal years which had taken place earlier, you would have seen in the last 5 years, prices going up almost 15 to 20% at least, which has not gone up at all. In fact, in certain areas, prices have come down. The very fact that the ready reckoner rate in Mumbai has not been increased for the last 4 years or 5 years itself is an indication that prices have not gone up. In fact, we've been asking them to correct the prices downwards. So in real terms, the prices have come down. But of course, you can't see that significant come down at all in view of the fact that the areas in which you're looking for property, those prices are still high. But if you looked a little away from where you're looking, you will see a lot of prices which are more affordable that can be possibly done with very good infrastructure also.
Also, with the fact that you're saying with all of this pressure and we're seeing some of the valuations, yes, come down, like you just mentioned. We've also seen some financial wizards talk about real estate as a dead investment. Is that impacting the overall psyche of the buyer? Also because, when we first hit this COVID wave in 2020, there was anxiety, panic, people lost jobs, people had salary cuts. So this anxiety to hoard your money, was increasing. And hence big ticket purchases were not happening. I understand that we saw, a resurgence in the second half. But now with this entire panic striking us again, and of course, what will follow will be again job losses, and we will have salary slashes and all of that. Cumulatively, it's just a matter of time before all of that happens. That entire anxiety again consume us, and will buyers again, look at hoarding money and not be hesitant to make that big ticket purchase?
So there will be a segment of society which is hurt. Which is continuing to be hurt because of the economy going down. And these people are definitely going to be in difficulty and cannot take the question of this purchase value that you have talked about. But Sonali, you have to understand that if the economy is going to spring back to 10% positive GDP by March of next year, you will see a difference taking place. And the same questions which you will ask will be different. Remember, the FIIs are looking at India with a positive growth of India. Look at the investment that has come in. Look at the stock markets which are moving up. It is the belief of the international markets that India is positively going to grow. Yeah, in the short run, of course, we are seeing negative. Until we are not able to vaccinate the people, take care of the health and hygiene of the people and all the other problems that we are seeing, we cannot think of growth. Of course, absolutely. I agree with you. But on the other hand, if you look at a 12-month picture as far as this is concerned, and I, as Cham president, have stated last year that you're going to see a 10% growth in GDP a year from now. So not today, but a year from today. So now,
Really?
if that really is going to happen, then you will see a difference. Look at what's happened in the IT sector. Everybody said that the IT sector will go down because now there is a work from home. International markets are not doing anything with India. And what has happened? Every IT company, look at TCS, they've grown 25% this year. They've hired 20,000 more people all over the world.
I agree. I mean, as soon as consumer sentiment is buoyant, there will be more confidence in buying and owning homes, or upgrading to bigger homes and all of that. But when consumer sentiment is a bit down, and it's not really confident of where the country is heading, then you also stop making the big ticket purchases. My question to you is, how long is the short term?
It's a fantastic question. We should ask the Prime Minister, but nevertheless, I'll try and answer it to the extent to which I have understood it.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we are into the second wave. I'm hoping that if we can open vaccination and we are able to vaccinate 30, 40, 50% of our people by September, we will be able to prevent the third wave from coming in. If we don't vaccinate sufficient number of people and we don't improve our healthcare facilities sufficiently enough, then we will be hit with a third wave where we will have to have a third lockdown. So the fiery part is, and the scary part is, are we going to learn a lesson from the second lockdown that we had to do and the problems that we are now facing, and we are able to attend to it? If we are, then we don't have a problem, because you must remember, 87% of the people who are affected are asymptomatic. If we can't take care of 13% of our population who are getting affected by COVID over a period of a year, 2 years' time, and we don't provide enough healthcare facilities over there after having been warned about it, I think it's a sad story.
18 to 45 age group is really now been left to the state governments. So it's really the responsibility of the state government. So we'll have to see how state governments perform, and maybe they'll have to start negotiating on their own with foreign players and get this going. But I'm just saying, I'm completely on board with what you're saying. I'm just saying that the road ahead looks quite tough. It seems to be a mammoth task, and I'm not clear. I'm not as optimistic as you in terms of whether the execution can be done and the severity of the situation has been understood.
The problem is they didn't recognize it. They didn't decide on it, and they didn't do it. Now that they have accepted it and they have decided on it, and they should go for it. And the bureaucrats should not come further in the way of doing it. So everybody should be vaccinated, the private, the public. Do you know there are no vaccines available in my hospital for the last 5 days? Yeah. So, I mean, when you get into this kind of centralized control, which you can't handle, I'm not saying you don't do centralized control. Of course you should, but you should be able to do it effectively. The day you cannot, give it away, give it to the private sector. Can you imagine this country without a private sector hospital? It's like that. So give it to them, give it to the government sector, give it to the state sector, give it to the local, give it to corporates, let them handle it, let private people do it. Just open it out, create a war-like situation and say, we shall vaccinate everybody in 6 months, period. Nothing doing. Everyone above 18 will be vaccinated. And you just go out of the way. Can you imagine? We'll be over with it. Nobody will die of COVID.
Mr. Hiranandani, I love your passion. I wish people like you join politics. But putting COVID aside for a minute and talking about, over the years, how brands have become important in the real estate space, or have they actually, whether, what is the trigger point to buy? Is it pricing? Is it a brand? And how is this mapping across the country? Is there different sets of behavior you see in consumers depending on which part of the country they come from? If you could throw light on that.
Sonali, you are the person who carries brand equity, so you know it better than I do. But nevertheless, I'll make an attempt. People have confidence to put lakhs of rupees and crores of rupees into my kitty and give me checks so that I will deliver the apartments. Some of the people live far away. There are investors who will invest. There are people who are putting their retirement money here. What has surprised me over the years is many of them just did not look at the brands. They just went and invested with anybody who gave them a cheaper apartment. Maybe some of them couldn't afford it, but even sometimes people could afford it, would not pick up a brand, and they have suffered. Now, this thing has definitely seen a change. With the coming of RERA, the accountability and transparency has taken place. Brands have definitely 100% edge over those which are not brands. And what does brand mean? It means trust. It means confidence. It means reliability. And we are 40 years in the trade. We have not cheated a single person. So whatever it is, we have intentions which are positive. We have delivered our goods. We have made a promise. We made quality our commitment. All this thing has happened over a period of years. Of course, the brands have definitely got a higher capacity to sell now and will always be. But it is more now than it was yesterday. That is the best part of it. So the existing brands of people who are able to give trust and faith, like our Hiranandani brand and other brands, the Tatas, the Godrej's, all these brands are brands and they commit to deliver. When they commit to deliver, obviously people will rely on them and put their life savings in many cases into the company and expect that they will deliver. And that's what is happening. So the difference is, yes, Sonali, it is 100% variation wherein a good brand will definitely sell easier, better, and at a higher price.
Absolutely. So let me take this forward and ask you about top of the pyramid, right? Luxury homes or luxury, properties. Has there been any impact on luxury properties during the COVID period?
Again, luxury, Sonali, is such a small percentage of the total sales in India.
In terms of volume or value?
In terms of volume, they're very, very small. Yeah. So what happens when you have a small volume which is there, it's very good for the newspapers. And it's very good for the media to talk about some expensive, fantastic property which sold for 100 crores or 50 crores or 70 crores or 90 crores and some great guy who bought it. That's wonderful. But they are so small and marginal numbers. The big numbers are really in the middle class. The bare numbers are in the affordable category. You have crores of apartments now being sold in the other segment of society. So yes, these have grown. Even the upper middle class and the rich segment have grown over a period of years. But if you ask me, the other segments have grown far faster and much bigger.
I see. So you're saying basically, if I just look at the Hiranandani Group and I look at, your division of luxury versus mid-segment to affordable housing to the lower end, how would you say that you've divided your projects?
So if you look at, let's say, an average project of ours, and you say 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, and 5 bedroom, it's the 2 bedroom which are the biggest numbers that we will have in any of the projects, 2.5 bedroom. But it's not that the 3 bedrooms don't sell or the 4 bedrooms don't sell or the 5 bedrooms don't sell, they all sell. But if you look at the total volume, the number of apartments, it would be 2.5 bedroom flats, which would be the largest number which would sell. Can you imagine? Sure. And it's not even the 1 bedroom. So it's the 2 bedroom. So, different people will get into different segments of the marketplace, but that's my market segment which really sells. It's not the 5 bedroom apartment, which is my biggest product.
Mr. Hiranandani, would you say today in the real estate sector, not specifically about your group, but broadly as a sector and as an industry leader, my question to you is, would you see that there is a supply glut when it comes to real estate because enough people are not buying at the moment?
Yes, there is a glut in a segment again. There are certain projects which have been made where there was no need to make those plots. So you made in a certain area buildings which are maybe 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom and all that stuff. And the demand is for 1 and 2 bedrooms in that area. So there's a mismatch of it.
It's Give me an example, sir.
Noida, for instance, there's been a total mismatch in terms of delivery and all. Investors bought those apartments. They're not getting resold at all. And many of them were investors who couldn't get a second sale at all in those segments. The sizes of the apartments were made suitable for investors. They were not made suitable for the ultimate customer. So there was a big problem. And the project, hundreds of thousands of flats are lying incomplete because of that investor segment and the builders not actually matching with the marketplace. So it's lots of people have made mistakes in the segments of real estate and they are suffering for it. And the investors are also suffering for it.
There are some geographies that you are very, very strong. Are you looking at a more pan-India presence going forward? Of course, once all of this is behind us.
So we are in Ahmedabad, we are in Mumbai, we are in Pune, we are in Nasik, we are in Alibag, we are in Chennai. So we are in Western and Southern India, talking about geographies. We haven't looked at real estate in North India, but we are doing warehousing and others into North India. And Eastern India, again, there's going to be an issue of gas and also looking at data centers and warehousing. So, but not into townships and real estate. We are more focused in the township part. We are more into Western and Southern India.
Why is that? I mean, the Hiranandani brand is a well-reputed, respected legacy brand. Why? I mean, and it's not like it's only people in the West who know it, right? Although we might be more acquainted with it. It's broadly a known brand pan-India. So why would you not, make that step?
That's the position all over the world. Real estate companies, as distinguished from construction companies work worldwide or nationwide, but real estate companies actually focus in certain areas because there is a USP advantage of knowing a locale and advantage, because proper projects are all about location, location, location. And unless you don't have insight into the location, you can't do it. And it's not possible to go worldwide and think that you can get the best locations in the world. So you will not see many worldwide or nationwide also real estate companies. Construction companies, yes, but not real estate companies. So you focus in a certain area and you can do much better. Even companies like DLF, which came all over India, again, consolidated and went back to the National Capital Region and those areas and did fantastically well, but after consolidating back. So we do find it much more difficult to do real estate countrywide as distinguished from construction, which is, constructing for anybody.
What is it that you want the government to do for the sector to give it some kind of impetus in this very, very dark and trying times?
Lots of things. First of all, they have a GST of 28% on cement, and I can't understand that at all. You need to reduce the GST on homes, especially on affordable homes. I think you need to do that. Stamp duty across the country must be brought down in terms of it. Prime Minister wants housing for all, so we need to do that. I'm grateful to the banks and financial institutions. They brought down interest rates much lower than what is given to corporates and industry. So home loans are much lower rates, and please keep it at that. So there are lots of things the local authorities can do. For instance, the stamp duty reduction. Now the premiums for the purposes of development. The Maharashtra government has brought it down by 50% for the next 6 months. Up to December of 2021. So all this is going to go a long way. So real estate had been overtaxed. We now need to rationalize those taxes and bring it down. And it's more than tobacco. So you have more taxes on real estate than on tobacco. And for the life of me, I can't understand why.
But you will pass it on to the consumer, right?
That's the problem. That's the problem. And the consumer just can't understand why the tax is so high. And they're saying, why can't industry fight it out and get it reduced? And we are trying our level best to do so. It's happening, but I think governments are now recognizing this. The Prime Minister is also doing his bit. Finance Minister has done certain things in affordable housing segment. So all in all, there is some recognition of that. But we had to go through a bad patch before they could recognize it.
Yeah, and I think because of the second wave, and hopefully, we kill it here, The bad patch continues, not just for real estate, but I think across industries. But it's been a very, very insightful conversation, Mr. Hiranandani. I think you've been very candid on what's positive and what needs work. And, I hope cognizance is taken of it. Here's wishing you personally and your family, a safe patch and a safe innings going forward. And of course, more power and strength to the Hiranandani Group. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sonali, for you too and your family and the entire group and the wonderful work that you're doing in brand equity. All the very best to you.
Thank you so much.